I am staring blankly at a wall. Like, I am vibrating with an anxiety that I can only describe as cellular.
I mean, rightfully so.
I am spiritually shattered.
Yeah.
I am financially bankrupted of all my joy, and I am emotionally devastated by what just happened on my television screen.
I have already drafted the legal paperwork.
Babe, I literally cannot feel my legs. I am a hollowed-out shell of a human being right now. Sam Levinson is personally responsible for the absolute destruction of my central nervous system. I am unwell.
We are filing a massive multi-state class action lawsuit against HBO for intentional, malicious infliction of emotional distress.
Yes, sign me up.
I am seeking financial damages, punitive damages, and honestly, a lifetime supply of heavily medicated therapy for every single person who was subjected to that 1 hour and 45-minute assault on our mental health.
You was an assault.
I need a lawyer, a priest, and a financial advisor in that exact order because my worldview has been fundamentally altered.
Babes. You! Yes, you, sitting right there trying to process this absolute madness. Welcome back. We love you, we see you, and babes, we are so glad to have you here on the couch with us today.
Welcome to the Snark side.
If you are tuning in right now, you already know the exact vibe of this room. The raspberry mojitos are flowing in the studio tonight. They are on deck.
Barely holding us together.
Exactly. The mint is muddled, the ice is crushed. But honestly, the raspberry mojito delusion is just not cutting it today.
Not even a little bit.
I needed something significantly, aggressively stronger to get through this finale. Because, babes, we were not prepared at all.
We were blissfully, painfully ignorant. We sat down in front of our screens with our little snacks, thinking we knew what television trauma was.
I had no idea.
We thought we understood the stakes. We did not. We were infants walking into a psychological war zone.
I am spiraling so incredibly hard right now, and I know you guys are too. We have to talk about the fundamental difference between a fun cry and a devastating cry.
Oh, there is a massive clinical difference.
Right. Because a fun cry is a release. You watch a romantic comedy, the two leads finally kiss in the pouring rain after a misunderstanding at the airport, and you shed a little glittering tear into your popcorn.
It's cleansing.
You feel cleansed. But a devastating cry is what this finale just did to our souls. It is the kind of cry where your chest physically aches.
Like a hollow ache in your ribs.
Yes. It is the kind of television experience where you have to sit in complete pitch-black silence while the credits roll for a minimum of 20 minutes just to figure out how to re-enter physical reality.
It is the absolute suffocating paralysis of it all. You are just trapped there in the ambient glow of your living room, meticulously calculating the emotional toll this piece of media just extracted from your lifespan.
The television clicks off, and you are just left staring at your own ghostly reflection in the black screen. Like, how am I supposed to commute to work on Monday and pretend I'm a functioning member of society?
You can't. Which brings me to a very serious debate we need to have before we get into the actual breakdown of the events. What beverage should have been federally mandated for watching this finale?
We brought the wrong supplies.
We brought mojitos to a funeral. Let's analytically run through the options for the Snark Squad. Straight tequila, red wine, espresso martinis, frozen margaritas, or something heavily prescribed straight from a pharmacy.
See, for me, I am emotionally processing this entire collective trauma through the concept of endless punishing cocktails. And I think straight tequila is the only scientifically correct answer.
Tequila?
I am talking no lime, no salt, no training wheels, just burning, unadulterated agave to numb the visceral pain of what we just witnessed.
That is just self-harm.
No, listen, if you think about it, a frozen margarita is entirely too joyful. It implies a beach. Red wine would just make me sob significantly harder into my couch pillows until they mildewed.
Okay, fair point on the wine.
Tequila is medicinal. It is a solvent. It is the only liquid capable of burning away the sheer devastation of East Highland.
I vehemently, categorically disagree with that methodology.
Of course you do.
First of all, as I stated in my opening remarks, we deserve actual liquid financial reimbursement for these emotional damages. But since the network isn't cutting us a settlement check anytime soon, the only acceptable tactical beverage is an espresso martini.
Ugh, you and your little aesthetic glasses.
Do you realize this finale was 1 hour and 45 minutes long? That is not an episode of television. That is a feature-length cinematic film of pure, concentrated suffering.
It was so long.
Exactly. We needed the espresso just to keep our central nervous systems firing through the sheer exhaustion of the runtime, and the vodka to artificially take the edge off the trauma.
Okay, tactical drinker.
It is analytical. It is a tactical strike on your own biology.
I hear you. I see your tactical, weaponized espresso martini, and I raise you something much more primal.
Oh, God. What?
Comfort food. Because, babes, we took it all the way back to the absolute basics today. We brought the ultimate, undisputed comfort food into the studio to heal our shattered souls.
It was a necessary intervention.
McDonald's chicken nuggets. And let me tell you, they are absolutely delicious. I am spiraling over how good these golden little miracles are right now.
They are an absolute marvel of processed industrial engineering.
Nuggets literally never miss. They never have a bad day. There is a profound healing power to a late-night drive-thru after the absolute worst day of your entire life.
When your emotional battery is in the red.
Exactly. When you are spiritually drained, when you have absolutely nothing left to give the universe or your boss, a childhood processed food just hits the hardest.
It bypasses the adult brain entirely.
It goes straight to the soul. It acts like a temporary bandage over the inner child that this television show just tried to mercilessly destroy.
It is the unwavering consistency that provides the psychological comfort. In a fictional universe where your favorite characters are dropping like flies in the most horrific ways imaginable, the 10-piece nugget remains a constant pillar of stability.
It tastes exactly the same today as it did when you were 9.
Precisely. But this brings us to what I consider the most high-stakes Supreme Court case of our modern era. The greatest nugget sauce.
There we go.
We need to debate this analytically. Babes, I want you judging us from home. The contenders on the docket are sweet and sour, BBQ, honey mustard, buffalo ranch, and the dark horse hot mustard.
There's no debate. Court is adjourned. I am emotionally defending absolute blind loyalty to one sauce and one sauce only until the day I die.
This is why you lack culinary vision.
Sweet and sour is the undisputed queen of the condiment packet. Let me explain exactly why. It is the only sauce that perfectly complements the salty, savory, golden breading of the nugget.
It's basically syrup.
It provides the exact right acidic counterbalance. It is nostalgic, the viscosity is perfect, it doesn't drip on your shirt, and if you dip your nugget in anything else, you are living a culinary lie. I will defend the honor of sweet and sour with my actual life.
Your blind emotional loyalty is your ultimate downfall. You have to approach the nugget not as a starving child, but like a Michelin star food critic evaluating a tasting menu.
It's a drive-through, babe.
It is about analyzing and manipulating the flavor profile. I sample multiple sauces per individual nugget.
That is chaotic. That is so messy.
It is elevated. Listen to the methodology. You start with just a touch of the hot mustard. The horseradish notes awaken the palate and clear the sinuses.
Okay, sinus doctor.
Then for the second bite, you move to the smoky molasses depth of the BBQ to ground the flavor. And finally, you finish with the creamy coolness of the ranch to neutralize the spice.
I'm calling the police.
It is a complete culinary journey within a single piece of chicken. Sticking to one monolithic sauce is just lazy.
You are an absolute monster. You cannot mix the flavor profiles like that. It is a betrayal of the sauce. You are overwhelming the chicken.
You're just afraid of innovation.
I'm afraid of your stomach lining. But you know what, babes? As much as I want to scream about dipping sauces for the next hour, we cannot stay on this food spiral forever.
Tragically, no.
The weekend is almost over, which means, unfortunately, the work week is coming.
The fluorescent lights are waiting.
And because we love you, it is time for your messy weekly horoscope.
Prepare yourselves, Snark Squad. The stars are perfectly aligned. They are looking down at your text history, and they are actively judging you.
Let's kick it off with my fiery babies. Aries. Babes, your chaos this week is texting an ex at exactly 2:14 in the morning just to see if they are alive.
You know they're alive, Aries. You follow their mom on Facebook. Stop it.
Literally stop. Your ridiculous prediction for the week. You will confidently, loudly give a lost tourist the completely wrong directions, and they will end up in a different zip code because you refuse to admit you didn't know where the museum was.
So typical.
Your lucky item is a blinding portable ring light so you can inspect your pores anywhere. Your lucky snack is a ridiculous iced coffee order featuring 4 pumps of vanilla, a splash of oat milk, and cold foam that costs $8.
A financial ruin in a cup.
Your critical warning. Do not hit send on that email draft to your boss. Sleep on it, and your main character challenge. Romanticize your commute. Blast the most dramatic soundtrack you can find, stare out the bus window, and pretend you are in the opening credits of an HBO drama.
Taurus. The chaos finding you this week involves picking a deeply unnecessary, highly specific fight with a coworker over the office thermostat. You will defend 72 degrees like it is the Alamo.
They will fight to the death over temperature.
My ridiculous prediction for you is that you will order over $100 worth of gourmet takeout on a Tuesday, and you will fall completely asleep on the couch before the delivery driver even rings the bell.
Waking up to cold dumplings at 4 a.m.
Exactly. Your lucky item is an oversized, opaque pair of sunglasses to hide your constant, silent judgment of everyone around you. Your lucky snack is cold French fries eaten directly from the fridge in the dark.
Wait, I kind of love cold fries.
Warning, your legendary stubbornness is showing, and it is not as charming as you think it is. Main character challenge. Let someone else speak for once in the group chat. Just observe.
Gemini. The twins. Your absolute chaos this week is accidentally double-tapping and liking a photo from August 2018 on your brand new crush's Instagram grid.
Oh no, that is lethal.
You will have to fake your own death and move to a new country. The prediction. You will enthusiastically start 3 entirely new, expensive hobbies by Wednesday, like pottery, knitting, and rock climbing, and you will completely abandon all of them by Friday evening.
The ADHD is strong with Gemini.
Your lucky item is a heavy-duty portable phone charger, purely because you talk too much and your battery cannot keep up with your gossip.
Yeah.
Your lucky snack is a neon bag of Thauer gummy worms.
That's a classic.
Warning. Stop playing devil's advocate in casual conversations. Nobody likes it. It doesn't make you look smart. It just makes you exhausting. Main character challenge. Make a single low-stakes decision like where to get lunch without asking 7 different people for their conflicting opinions first.
Cancer. Oh, Cancer. The chaos this week involves you crying real, actual tears in a public restroom over a vaguely sentimental commercial about a golden retriever that you saw on TikTok.
They are so soft.
Your ridiculous prediction is that you will impulsively adopt an expensive, temperamental houseplant, name it something human like Arthur, and then deeply mourn it when you inevitably overwater it to death in less than a month.
R.I.P. Arthur.
Lucky item. Extremely waterproof mascara. You are going to need it. Lucky snack. A family-sized bag of white cheddar popcorn eaten entirely alone while watching a documentary.
Sounds like a perfect Friday night, honestly.
Warning, stop romanticizing the bare minimum effort from the people in your life. A text back is not a grand romantic gesture. Main character challenge. Block them. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Don't mute them. Block them.
Leo. The Lions. Your chaos this week is showing up wildly, aggressively overdressed to a casual Sunday brunch and making everyone at the table feel incredibly uncomfortable about their sweatpants.
As they should.
The ridiculous prediction. You will accidentally, on purpose, start a vague rumor about yourself just to see if people are talking about you behind your back.
That is so toxic.
It is. Your lucky item is a gold-plated compact mirror so you can check your reflections during meetings. Lucky snack. Anything covered in edible gold leaf or truffles.
Obviously.
Warning, not everything is a personal attack against you. Sometimes it literally has nothing to do with you, Leo.
Main character challenge. Give someone else a genuine compliment that does not subtly bring the conversation back to yourself and actually mean it.
Virgo.
Your chaos this week is aggressively, systematically reorganizing a friend's kitchen cabinets against their will while they are in the bathroom.
I would kick you out of my house.
The ridiculous prediction is that you will spend 3 hours color-coding your physical planner, creating a legend and index, and then you will immediately lose the planner on the subway.
A tragedy.
Lucky item. Clinical strength hand sanitizer. Lucky snack. Organic celery sticks that you aggressively pretend to enjoy while daydreaming about a carbohydrate.
Just eat the bread, Virgo.
Warning. Your relentless perfectionism is actively ruining your weekend. The dishes can wait. Main character challenge. Leave a blatant, obvious typo in a professional email and just let it go. Press send and live with the discomfort. I dare you.
Beebus. Your chaos is heavily flirting with the barista who makes your matcha purely for the sport of it, and then being absolutely terrified and evasive when they actually ask you out on a real date.
Classic avoidant behavior.
Your ridiculous prediction is that you will buy a completely new, expensive outfit for an upcoming event that you are already fully planning on canceling at the last minute.
So true.
Lucky item, a high-shine, sticky lip gloss. Lucky snack. A highly aesthetic, incredibly overpriced charcuterie board meant for 3 people, consumed entirely by you.
Girl dinner.
Warning, babes, indecision is literally a decision. Not choosing is a choice. Main character challenge. Pick a restaurant for dinner tonight without uttering the phrase, I don't care, whatever you want. State of preference.
Scorpio. The darkness. The chaos finding you this week is deep diving a perceived enemy's Instagram, LinkedIn, and public records until you successfully find their mother's maiden name and childhood address.
They belong in the FBI.
The ridiculous prediction. You will hold an intense, fiery grudge against a close friend for something they did to you in a literal dream you had.
I do that.
Lucky item. A heavy cinematic trench coat. Lucky snack. Jet black coffee and a side of completely unresolved anger.
Delicious.
Warning, stop meticulously plotting revenge in your head. The logistics are exhausting and it is bad for your skin. Main character challenge. Forgive someone for a minor, insignificant inconvenience. Someone cuts you off in traffic, let it go. Just try it as an experiment.
Sagittarius. Your chaos this week is impulsively booking a non-refundable budget airline flight to a city you know absolutely nothing about, entirely to avoid going to therapy and dealing with your actual problems.
Cheaper than a copay, technically.
Barely. Your ridiculous prediction is that you will lose your apartment keys, spend an hour frantically searching, find them in the refrigerator, and then immediately lose them again 5 minutes later.
They are so chaotic.
Lucky item. A leather passport holder. Lucky snack. Overpriced, slightly stale airport terminal food. Warning. Running away to a new time zone doesn't solve the core problem, babes. The baggage travels with you.
Ouch.
Main character challenge. Stay in one physical location without making any drastic life changes for more than 48 consecutive hours.
Capricorn, your chaos is treating a casual first date at a coffee shop like a grueling, multi-stage corporate job interview, complete with behavioral questions and a silent demand for references.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, babe?
The ridiculous prediction is that you will actually schedule relaxing time as a 30-minute block in your digital calendar, and then you will intensely stress out about whether you are relaxing correctly or efficiently enough.
Oh my God, the anxiety.
Lucky item, a sharp, structured, intimidating blazer. Lucky snack. A chalky, dense protein bar that tastes like drywall but hits your macros.
Gross.
Warning, the corporate ladder is cold, Capricorn. It is not going to hug you back when you are lonely. Main character challenge. Do something incredibly, unapologetically unproductive for an entire afternoon. Stare at a ceiling. Do not monetize your hobbies.
Aquarius. The aliens. Your chaos is ghosting every single person you know for 3 consecutive days because you suddenly decided you needed to recharge your social battery in absolute isolation.
Typical.
The ridiculous prediction is that you will attempt to start a localized grassroots revolution in your apartment building's group chat over the mismanagement of the recycling bin.
They love a cause.
They really do. Lucky item. Weirdly shaped asymmetrical earrings. Lucky snack. A bottle of artisanal kombucha that smells slightly suspicious and might be fermenting.
That's just alcohol at that point.
Warning. Being contrary and indifferent doesn't always mean you are right. Sometimes popular things are just good. Main character challenge. Reply to a standard text message within 5 minutes of receiving it. Do not overthink the punctuation.
And finally, Pisces. Your chaos this week is emotionally projecting your own deep-seated childhood trauma and abandonment issues onto a random stray cat you see in an alley.
Oh, sweet little Pisces.
The ridiculous prediction is that you will write a highly metaphorical, devastating poem about a grocery store cashier who remembered your name exactly one time.
I would read that poem.
Lucky item. A leather-bound dream journal. Lucky snack. Premium ice cream eaten directly out of the pint with a metal spoon while listening to sad indie music.
The ultimate aesthetic.
Warning, you cannot save everyone. You are not a life raft. Main character challenge. Set one single solitary firm boundary this week. Just one. And do not apologize for it.
Okay, babes, take a deep breath. Enough spiraling about the stars. Our horoscopes are set, the universe has spoken, and we are heavily fortified by processed chicken and dipping sauces.
We are ready.
It is time. You sent us the messages. You demanded we break this down. So our mission today is to sift through the absolute emotional wreckage of this finale and figure out what it all means.
It is a dark, messy journey.
Brace yourselves, Snark Squad. It is time to unpack the final devastating chapter of Euphoria, Season 3, Episode 8, titled In God We Trust.
Let's get directly into the absolute suffocating chaos of it all. The narrative kicks off with what I can only describe as the most stressful, claustrophobic escape sequence I have ever witnessed on television.
I couldn't breathe.
We are thrust immediately back into the nightmare. Rue is trapped in the dimly lit, suffocating basement of Laurie's compound. The tension is palpable, the air looks thick.
In Faye. Let's talk about Faye.
Yes, suddenly, Faye, in a moment of absolute panic, screams at the top of her lungs to wake up Wayne, the resident neo-Nazi enforcer sleeping upstairs.
I felt physically sick when she screamed.
Rue, who has been completely stripped of her agency for episodes, acts entirely on pure, unadulterated adrenaline. She grabs a heavy metal wrench, smashes Wayne's knee with a sickening, visceral crunch.
The sound design on that crunch was vile.
It was incredibly realistic.
Yeah.
She pivots, punches Faye squarely in the face in retaliation, and scrambles up the stairs, bursting out the door and making a blind run for it into the blinding desert sun.
Babes, I was literally screaming at my screen. I threw my phone across the couch. The sheer adrenaline of that moment.
It's kinetic.
And let's unpack the absolute devastating messiness of Faye selling Rue out. After everything they have been through, after the quiet moments of solidarity, Faye's self-preservation instinct kicks in and she just screams to wake the monster up.
Loyalty is a luxury in that house.
It was such a profound betrayal. But then the show does something so incredibly bizarre that my brain literally short-circuited.
A genre shift.
Yes. Rue is running for her actual life. Her lungs are burning. She is sprinting through the dirt. And out of absolutely nowhere, a man dressed as a cowboy chases her down on a literal horseback, swings a rope, and lassos her.
It was an absurd visual.
He lassos a teenage girl like she is a rogue steer at a rodeo. I was spiraling over the sheer blinding absurdity of it. She got roped, dragged into the dirt, and tied up. What were we even watching?
We have to analyze the cinematic choices here because it was a wildly jarring tonal shift. Sam Levinson basically looked at a grounded, gritty teen drama dealing with urban addiction and said, you know what this narrative climax needs? A spaghetti western motif.
Felt like a fever dream.
It was completely surreal, almost breaking the established reality of the show. It utilized the visual language of a John Ford film, but the surrealism doesn't end there.
No, it gets crazier.
Just as Rue is being dragged, G, played by the actual real-life NFL legend Marshawn Lynch, appears perched up on a dusty ridge with a high-powered sniper rifle.
Beast mode.
He acts as the literal cavalry. He scopes in, shoots the cowboy cleanly in the shoulder, completely neutralizing the threat, and yells down for Rue to run. She manages to scramble free, jumps into the passenger seat of his idling truck, and they speed off in a cloud of desert dust.
It was insane.
It was tactical, it was explosive, and it was chaotic, but structurally, it felt incredibly out of place for the established tone of the series.
I completely agree. I have to push back a little on the surrealism working, though. Doesn't it just completely shatter the grounded reality they built? Like, I thought Rue was hallucinating the entire escape.
It definitely strained credulity.
But the pacing is so relentless that we don't even have time to philosophically process the fact that a teenager was just lassoed, because the narrative immediately pivots, without taking a breath, to the DEA raid.
The moment we have all been waiting for.
The feds finally swarm Laurie's compound. And the way it was directed, the tension is unbearable. The viewer knows the raid is coming before the characters do, because the animals at the compound act as this primal alarm system.
The sound design was excellent there.
The parrots start shrieking frantically. The one-legged dog starts pacing and whining. It's this eerie, instinctual reaction to the approaching helicopters before you even hear the blades.
And Wayne's realization.
Yes. Wayne, who previously stole and consumed pills from Rue's stash, suddenly realizes they're just laxatives. His stomach drops in more ways than one.
A humiliating realization.
He puts two and two together, realizes the entire supply is a setup, and his pure survival instinct kicks in. He grabs Faye, and they escape out the back. Babes, they literally hitchhike away from a federal multi-agency raid, smelling aggressively like horse manure.
The ultimate survivor.
The sheer cockroach-like survival skills of those two. They will survive a nuclear apocalypse.
It is purely instinctual baseline survival for Faye and Wayne. They are the bottom feeders of this ecosystem, and they know exactly when to scurry into the walls.
So true.
But analytically speaking, the real masterclass in this sequence is the bait and switch pulled off by the rival faction. Bishop and Eddie orchestrated a tactical, bloodless coup.
It was so smooth.
Let's break down exactly how they executed this. While Mitch was completely distracted inside a high-end cosmetic clinic, purportedly picking up Kitty and Christina, the dancers who were allegedly getting cosmetic surgery, Bishop and Eddie systematically swapped the actual drug-filled ambulance for an identical, entirely empty decoy ambulance.
Brilliant misdirection.
It is classic sleight of hand. So when the DEA finally breaches the compound, secures the perimeter, and violently tears up the floorboards of the decoy van at Laurie's property, expecting millions in fentanyl, all they find staring back at them is a single dead rat.
A dead rat.
It is brilliant operational security. Alamo gets the entire shipment safely delivered to his designated drop point, and Laurie is left standing in the ruins of her empire, completely holding the bag for a federal trafficking charge.
The dead rat was such a disrespectful touch. It was poetic cinema. But babes, Laurie's end. I am still emotionally devastated and deeply disturbed by how terrifyingly, chillingly calm it was.
It was unsettling.
It wasn't loud. It wasn't a shootout. She is standing in her house. She looks out the window at the black helicopters circling and the tactical teams swarming her gate. She doesn't scream.
Not a single change in her heart rate, probably.
She just quietly mutters in that same terrifying monotone voice she always uses that she simply cannot go to federal prison. She methodically climbs the stairs, goes up to the roof, fixes a noose, and just hangs herself.
A total avoidance of accountability.
She took the ultimate cowardly way out. Rather than face a single ounce of justice, rather than face the mothers of the kids she trafficked, rather than face any consequences for the absolute trauma she inflicted on East Highland, she just opted out. It was so incredibly dark, it left this sickening feeling in my stomach.
It was undeniably dark, but if we analyze her psychological profile throughout the series, it fits her character perfectly.
Really? You think so?
Absolutely. Laurie was fundamentally a sociopath driven entirely by control. She controlled her victims through chemical dependency, she controlled the regional supply chain through fear, and in the end, when the walls closed in, she demanded to control her own demise.
That makes me hate her even more.
She was never, ever going to allow the state or a judge or a prison guard to dictate her fate or strip her of her autonomy. Her suicide wasn't an act of despair. In her twisted mind, it was the final act of retaining absolute power over her own narrative.
That makes it even more chilling when you put it like that.
Sure.
She won on her own terms.
Unfortunately, yes.
But babes, as traumatic as that was, the real soul-crushing devastation is what happens next, the fentanyl betrayal.
This is the turning point of the entire series.
This is the moment that shattered me into a million unrecognizable pieces. Rue, completely exhausted, battered, and believing she has finally navigated her way out of the underworld, delivers the stolen IDs to Alamo.
She thought she had leverage.
She thinks she has secured her freedom. And Alamo, he plays the role of the benevolent kingpin so perfectly. He acts like the proud boss, he praises her intelligence, he calls her Employee of the Year.
Pure manipulation.
He hands her a stack of clean cash, tells her to take a week off to rest. And then, as a quote-unquote bonus, he hands her a fresh bottle of Percocets. And if you look at Rue's face in that scene, she looks so profoundly relieved.
The tragedy of hope.
She thinks she finally outsmarted the system. She thinks she won. But Alamo is an absolute cold-blooded snake. We, as the audience, know that earlier in the season, Maddie had casually, accidentally slipped up and told Alamo that Rue was working as a DEA informant.
A fatal error in operational security.
A tiny, insignificant slip of the tongue over drinks. So Alamo, knowing this, intentionally laced that specific bottle of pills with a massive lethal dose of synthetic fentanyl. He handed her a literal death sentence, elegantly wrapped in a reward. It was a Trojan horse of death.
It is the coldest, most clinically calculated execution imaginable. Alamo didn't yell. He didn't threaten her. He didn't pull a gun or risk a loud altercation that would draw attention.
You didn't have to.
He weaponized her own chronic disease against her. He knew with absolute certainty that as an addict, she wouldn't be able to resist the siren song of those pills, especially after the trauma of the escape.
It's so evil.
And we have to analyze the deeply tragic irony woven into this plotline. Maddie's innocent, careless slip of the tongue inadvertently signed Rue's death warrant. Maddie basically handed Alamo the loaded weapon, assembled it for him, and pointed it at her friend without ever realizing the gravity of her words.
Maddie's going to have to live with that forever.
It highlights that in this specific, ruthless drug trade, there is no such thing as casual gossip. The collateral damage is absolute and fatal.
I cannot even talk about the actual death scene without my throat closing up and crying again. The devastating death of Rue Bennett.
It was a difficult watch.
I am emotionally destroyed just recalling the sequence of shots. Rue finally makes it to Lily's apartment. She crashes on his couch, feeling safe for the first time in days. She opens the bottle, she takes pills.
Right point of no return.
And then cinematography shifts, and we get this sweeping, heartbreakingly beautiful, dreamlike hallucination. As the fentanyl enters her bloodstream and her brain starts to shut down, she thinks she's watching the local news, and the broadcast says that Fesco managed to escape from prison.
A poignant choice by the director.
And babes, they used vaulted, unreleased footage of the late Angus Cloud for this tribute. When I saw his face smiling on that screen, I just started aggressively sobbing.
It was handled with a lot of respect.
It was such a beautiful meta-tribute to the actor. In her dying mind, she wanted to know her friend was free.
The inclusion of Angus Cloud was profoundly moving, blending real-world grief with fictional closure. And from a psychological standpoint, as her brain experiences hypoxia, it is rapidly firing its last remaining comfort chemicals, desperately trying to soothe her as the body fails.
Exactly. And the hallucination continues. She dreams she is driving down her old street, pulling up to her childhood home. She walks through the front door, and the lighting is so warm and golden, unlike the neon harshness of the rest of the show.
A stark visual contrast.
She sees her mom sitting peacefully at the dining room table, reading the Bible. And then Rue finally embraces her parents.
It felt so incredibly warm, so resolving, so peaceful. You want so desperately to believe she made it home.
The direction in that sequence was incredibly deceptive, and purposefully so. Levinson lures the audience into a false sense of security with that golden hour lighting and familial warmth. You want to believe she found peace.
But then reality hits.
But the physical reality of the scene cuts back, and it is brutally, horrifyingly grounded. There is no big, dramatic, cinematic shootout for the main character. There is no triumphant final stand or monologue.
Just a couch.
She's just a teenager, quietly and violently gasping for air on a second-hand couch. The director juxtaposes this horrific physical reality with the sweeping, operatic sounds of Ave Maria playing in the background. It was haunting.
She is suffocating, completely alone in a dark room. It strips away any lingering glamour of drug use that the show might have been accused of previously. It reflects the grim, terrifying reality of the real-life opioid epidemic. Overdoses are rarely dramatic. They are just a quiet, tragic fading away into nothingness.
In the aftermath, Ollie wakes up the next morning, pours his coffee, walks into the living room, and finds her lifeless body.
Colman Domingo's acting in that moment.
The sheer, devastating look of incomprehension and horror that washes over his face, just give him the Emmy right now. He immediately goes into crisis mode, finds the bottle, and tests the remaining pills with a defense kit.
For context, for those who don't know, a defense kit uses specialized test strips designed to detect the presence of fentanyl or its analogs in a drug sample. When Ollie dips the strip into the dissolved pill residue, the reaction immediately confirms the lethal adulteration.
Yes, and the moment he reads that positive result, you see his entire worldview fracture. He realizes instantly that this wasn't a tragic relapse. She didn't fail her sobriety, she was intentionally murdered.
A paradigm shift.
He takes out his small memorial notebook, the one where he writes the names of everyone he has lost to the disease, and he slowly writes Rue Bennett. And in that specific moment, babes, you see his entire demeanor change.
He becomes a completely different character.
He goes from being this patient, forgiving pillar of empathy, a man dedicating his life to saving lost kids through dialogue and understanding, to an absolute hardened angel of vengeance. His eyes just go dead. He is done talking. The time for therapy is over.
It is a profound character evolution. Ali realizes that empathy has a hard, definitive limit when you are dealing with pure, unadulterated evil.
You can't hug a sociopath.
Exactly. You cannot sponsor or empathize with or rehabilitate a predator like Alamo. Alamo doesn't operate on human morality. He operates on leverage and violence. Ali's shift from a man of peace to an instrument of wrath is terrifying, but narratively, it feels completely, inevitably justified.
I was cheering for his wrath.
Which brings us to the messy, chaotic leftovers of East Highland. The collateral damage. Let's analyze what I am calling the influencer dollhouse. Oh, this was so bleak.
We find Cassie and Maddie sitting across from each other in a sterile, fluorescent-lit diner. Morning, Nate. And let's remind the audience of the absolute absurdity that Nate died via a literal rattlesnake strike while trapped in a coffin last week.
A completely unhinged way to go out. I am still not over the snake.
Entirely ridiculous. But instead of dealing with the police or the grief, they are telling the entire town that Nate simply disappeared. They're constructing a localized conspiracy.
Messy.
And what is Cassie's brilliant, trauma-induced coping mechanism for the massive financial debt they owe to Alamo? She converts her massive, empty mansion into an OnlyFans creator house.
Babes, I was spiraling into the Earth's crust. Cassie is essentially acting like a digital slumlord.
That is exactly what it is.
She is walking around this massive, echoing, sterile house, methodically polishing adult toys, trying to recruit people to live there. She even tries to recruit her sister, Lexi, to be the quote-unquote storyteller and write the copy for the house.
A bizarre career pivot for Lexi. It is so incredibly bleak. It is late-stage capitalism meeting profound, untreated grief. She feels like her body and her sexuality are the only valid currency she has left after Nate's death, so she is just completely disassociating and monetizing her trauma.
It's highly defensive behavior.
And the scene where she just sits entirely alone on the edge of her massive bed, crying silently under the harsh, sterile halo glow of a ring light, is one of the saddest, most isolating images of the entire series. She is trapped in a prison of her own making.
It is a haunting commentary on the commodification of intimacy. She's surrounded by the tools of digital connection, yet she has never been more profoundly alone. She is psychologically broken.
She really is. And babes, don't even get me started on Jules. I am vibrating with rage over this.
A complete disservice to the character.
Jules, one of the most vibrant, complex, foundational characters of the entire show, is shown for less than 60 seconds in a 105-minute series finale.
Statistically absurd.
She is depicted as being completely trapped as a sugar baby to this wealthy older man, Ellis. She is physically locked in this gorgeous, sterile penthouse high above the city, weeping and furiously painting a massive canvas of Rue burning in bright, agonizing flames.
A gilded cage.
The absolute criminal waste of her storyline. She was the emotional catalyst for so much of the series, and she just ends up as a kept woman painting her dead ex-girlfriend. I am devastated that the show is canceled, and we will literally never get a season 4 to rescue her from that penthouse.
Jules's arc is a profound tragedy of sidelined narrative potential. The writers fundamentally abandoned her character development. She traded her chaotic artistic freedom for the security of golden handcuffs, and the show just leaves her there, frozen in time, suffering, and luxury. It is deeply unsatisfying.
It makes me so mad.
And speaking of unsatisfying narrative conclusions, we must discuss Lexi. Lexi's philosophical takeaway from all this surrounding trauma is utterly bizarre.
Oh, the Bible.
Yes, she refuses to work for Cassie's OnlyFans house, which is logically sound. But then she retreats to her room and starts obsessively reading the heavily annotated, violent, sex-filled Bible that Rue left behind.
The annotations were wild.
And Lexi's big, profound revelation from reading about biblical suffering is basically, well, bad things happen to everyone, so you just have to lower your head and push through it.
It was so weird. It was like she read the book of Job and decided the moral of the story was just to be quiet and take it.
Precisely. It is a wildly simplistic, passive interpretation of biblical suffering, used entirely to justify her own continued passivity and avoidance of the real world.
Yeah.
She uses religion as a shield against action.
Well, thank God someone takes action, because, babes, the adrenaline completely spikes again with the climax of the episode, the strip club shootout.
This was cinema.
Let's set the scene. Maddie walks into the Silver Slipper to deliver Cassie's 20% cut of the OnlyFans money to Alamo. Maddie is just trying to do business and survive. But Alamo, riding the high of taking over Laurie's empire, gets inappropriately, aggressively handsy with her.
He felt invincible.
He leans in and tells her he had an epiphany. He says he wants the quote-unquote American dream with her. He explicitly demands a picket fence and 4 cocoa-colored babies with Maddie.
The audacity of this man.
Babes, Maddie's face, the sheer unadulterated terror in her eyes when this absolute psychopath kingpin basically sentenced her to be his captive trad wife. She realized in that exact moment that she wasn't a business partner, she was just his next acquisition.
It was a hostage situation thinly disguised as a romantic proposal. Alamo realized he was a slave to his own chaotic vices and decided, completely unilaterally, that Maddie was going to be his ticket to a respectable, traditional life. He completely ignored her autonomy, viewing her as an object to complete his aesthetic vision of success. But just as Maddie is calculating how to escape this nightmare, the dynamics of the room violently shift. Ali arrives.
Yes.
And he doesn't walk in as a sponsor. He walks in wearing a full tactical military uniform. He calmly chains the front door shut from the inside with a heavy steel bike lock, trapping everyone inside, and goes full Terminator.
Holy scream.
He raises his weapon and shoots G right in the crotch without hesitation. Chaos erupts. And Alamo, the big, tough kingpin who just demanded to be a patriarch, he immediately cowers and literally grabs Maddie, using her body as a human shield against the gunfire.
I was screaming at the television. The absolute cowardice of that man.
A pathetic display.
Ali is standing there demanding answers for Rue's murder, and Alamo, still trying to control the narrative, proposes an old-fashioned duel to settle it. He thinks he's in a movie.
He was highly delusional.
He instructs Kitty, one of the dancers, to roll a heavy champagne bottle down the length of the wooden bar, and the rules are they shoot when the glass hits the floor and shatters.
The suspense mechanics here were fantastic.
The cinematic tension was absolutely suffocating. You can hear the glass rolling over the wood. Alamo, being the arrogant, cheating snake that he fundamentally is, draws his gun early to get the drop on Ali. He points it, he pulls the trigger with a smirk on his face, and, wait for it, click.
Click.
The chamber is empty.
It is the loudest silence in television history.
Yes, because Bishop took the bullets out. The absolute cold-blooded perfection of Bishop's betrayal.
It was masterful.
Ali doesn't miss a beat. He raises his shotgun and shoots Alamo 3 times center mass, completely blowing him away. Alamo drops dead. And Bishop, who's been standing quietly in the shadows the entire time, just steps forward, drops the handful of bullets he stole from Alamo's gun onto the blood-soaked floor, looks at Maddie, who is covered in splatter, and calmly asks if she needs a ride home.
We have to pause and deeply analyze Bishop's tactical brilliance here. It is a masterclass in strategy.
He is a genius.
Bishop observed that Alamo, despite his ambition, was fundamentally ruled by his volatile emotions, by his dangerous obsession with women, and by his petty violent feuds. Alamo was sloppy, unpredictable, and ultimately bad for long-term business logistics.
Bad for the bottom line.
Bishop, on the other hand, is stoic, relentlessly professional, and incredibly patient. He didn't rush. He waited for Alamo to reach his absolute most vulnerable, arrogant, overconfident point.
And then pulled the rug out.
He orchestrated a completely bloodless coup for himself by simply emptying a magazine and letting Ali's righteous vengeance do all the dirty work. Bishop dismantled an empire without firing a single shot. It is Machiavellian perfection.
It was iconic. Bishop is a terrifying genius. But after the adrenaline of the shootout, we immediately cut to the final supper, the final scene of the entire series.
The epilogue.
The dust settles, and Ali travels to the conservative Texas homestead that we saw all the way back in episode 1. He walks up to the porch and introduces himself to the family using his pre-conversion name, Martin McQueen.
A symbolic shedding of his past.
He sits down at their dinner table, he bows his head, says grace, and openly thanks Rue for her life. And then the camera pans, and he sees a bright, glowing vision of Rue, sitting happily at the head of the table, smiling down at them, framed exactly like a painting of the Last Supper.
The religious imagery is undeniable.
Outside the window, a massive American flag is waving slowly in the Texas wind. Rue's ethereal voiceover comes in one last time, saying, "May God bless us all." Cut to black. And babes, that is it. The show is officially permanently canceled.
It is a massive, incredibly heavy-handed, almost bewildering genre shift into pure religious allegory.
It felt like a completely different show.
To take a gritty, neon-soaked, hyper-modern show about the despair of teenage addiction and conclude it with a quiet scene of a conservative rural homestead, an American flag waving in the breeze, and blatant, undeniable Christian martyrdom imagery, it is profound artistic choice by the director.
Very heavy-handed.
It fundamentally reframes Rue's entire narrative arc. She is no longer just a tragic victim of the systemic opioid crisis. The show elevates her to the status of a sacrificial lamb, suggesting that her immense suffering and eventual death somehow brought moral clarity and salvation to those she left behind, like Ali.
Right. She died for their sins.
Exactly. It is an incredibly polarizing, highly debated way to conclude the specific narrative, but it certainly leaves a lasting ideological imprint.
It was so incredibly final. There were no cliffhangers, just an ending. Knowing we will never see these characters again, knowing this is the absolute end of the era, it's a lot to process emotionally.
We need closure.
Which is why, babes, we need to transition into categorizing this mess to make sense of it. Because someone in this fictional town needs an immediate wellness check and intense inpatient therapy, and we need to debate who requires it the most.
The psychological trauma is widespread across the entire ensemble cast, but if we are triaging the wreckage, who is currently in the most critical condition?
For me, it is Maddie. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Really?
Think about her timeline over the last 2 weeks. She lost her toxic ex-boyfriend to a literal rattlesnake in a coffin.
Again with the snake.
She carries the immense crushing guilt of accidentally causing her friend Rue's death by slipping up to a drug lord. And she was literally 30 seconds away from being forced against her will to bear Alamo's children in some twisted tradwife prison before a shotgun blew his chest apart right in front of her face.
The dry cleaning bill alone for that dress?
The physical blood splatters. Maddie needs an emergency therapeutic intervention, a sensory deprivation tank, and a decade of peace.
I acknowledge Maddie's acute trauma, but I must counter with Cassie.
Cassie, she did it to herself.
Listen to the logic. Maddie, at the very least, still possesses her core survival instincts. She knows when to run and when to fight. Cassie, however, is completely, terrifyingly disassociated from reality.
Okay, that's true.
She is living entirely alone in a sterile, echoing mansion. She is converting her home into an OnlyFans digital slum, meticulously polishing adult toys as a business practice, and crying silently under the artificial glare of a ring light while actively pretending to the entire town that her dead husband is merely missing.
The delusion is strong.
She is entirely isolated, trapped inside a self-made, heavily mortgaged dollhouse of denial. While Maddie's trauma is acute, Cassie's psyche is fundamentally broken beyond repair. She has lost her grip on reality.
Okay, that is dark, but you make an incredibly valid point about the disassociation. The ring light crying will haunt me forever. Let's pivot to our next debate, the most unhinged decision award.
There are so many to choose from.
There were so many wildly chaotic choices made in this finale, but we have to crown a winner for absolute blinding chaos.
The floor is yours. Analytically, what represents the zenith of unhinged behavior in this episode?
Alamo. Alamo trying to cheat in a high-stakes Western duel without checking his own chamber first.
A rookie mistake.
The absolute blinding narcissistic arrogance to propose a duel to the death with a man holding a shotgun, decide to draw early to cheat the rules you just established, and not even take 1 single second to verify that your weapon is actually loaded.
He was completely blinded by ego.
Hearing that tiny metallic click must have been the most humiliating, soul-crushing realization of his entire life, right before Ollie blasted him into the wall. It is pure, unfiltered hubris, leading directly to his downfall.
Alamo's hubris is a strong contender, but I will argue for the quiet madness of Laurie.
Oh, she was terrifying.
Laurie is standing in her living room looking at a massive DEA raid outside her gates over what ultimately turns out to be a dead rat hidden in a decoy van.
Right, if she had just waited.
Exactly. Instead of utilizing her immense wealth to call a high-powered defense attorney, instead of trying to fight the charges in court or even attempting to flee, her immediate, split-second, irrevocable decision is to walk upstairs, climb onto her roof, and jump off with a noose around her neck.
It's so crazy.
The sheer, instantaneous escalation from the police are outside to I am immediately ending my own life without even pausing to find out what actual evidence they had against her is profoundly, deeply unhinged. She didn't even try to survive.
Laurie was so terrifying. Just a black hole of a human being. All right, let's move to the Euphoria Hall of Fame. We are debating the ultimate superlatives for the finale.
Let the record show my choices are objectively correct.
Stop it. Let's start with favorite character. Babes, my pick is Ali. Colman Domingo gave the performance of a literal lifetime.
He was formidable.
His beautiful, heartbreaking, terrifying revenge arc, like watching him transform from this patient mentor trying to save addicts into an absolute, relentless angel of vengeance clearing out a strip club, it was pure cinema. He carried the emotional weight of the entire finale on his shoulders.
Ollie is undeniably the emotional core of the narrative, yes. But analytically, focusing on narrative impact, my favorite character is Bishop.
You love a villain.
I appreciate efficiency. As we discussed, Bishop plotted the quietest, most effective corporate coup in television history. He recognized the systemic flaws in his boss's leadership. He anticipated Alamo's vanity, and he used his enemies to eliminate his obstacles.
He's so sneaky about it.
He didn't fire a single shot, yet he completely dismantled a regional drug empire and walked away with the business, the supply lines, the cash, and the girl. He's a strategic genius playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers.
The shade toward Ali is noted. Okay, favorite storyline. I think we actually agree on this one, which is rare for us.
Indeed. The ambulance bait and switch. In an episode filled with surrealism and melodrama, it was the only plot line that felt like a grounded, high-stakes, meticulously planned heist. The logistical brilliance of swapping the drugs for a dead rat while the DEA thought they were closing in on the bust of the century was phenomenal writing.
It was so satisfying. It actually made sense.
It rewarded the audience's attention to detail.
Okay, favorite friendship. For me, it is the deeply twisted, incredibly toxic, yet deeply profound, trauma-bonded diner scene with Cassie and Maddie.
Toxic is an understatement.
After literally everything they have done to each other over 3 seasons, the betrayals, the screaming matches, the physical fights, they are sitting there in that booth, covered in dirt and exhaustion. Maddie looks at her, completely broken, and asks, "What'd I do?"
A moment of total surrender.
And Cassie, who has nothing left to give, just looks back and says, "We'll figure it out together." It was incredibly messy, it was codependent, but in that specific moment, it was incredibly real.
They are inextricably bonded by their mutual destruction. The town burned down around them, and they're the only two left sitting in the ashes.
Exactly. Okay, your turn. Favorite romance?
I am, of course, sarcastically casting my vote for the enduring love story of Faye and Wayne.
You are so unserious.
Because honestly, nothing says true, unconditional love quite like hitchhiking away from a federal drug raid on a dusty highway, smelling distinctly of literal horse manure, while your neo-Nazi boyfriend suffers from severe, debilitating, laxative distress on the side of the road.
Stop. I am going to be sick.
It is a sweeping cinematic romance for the ages.
You are so incredibly shady, I can't even look at you right now. Okay, finally, most iconic scene. There is only one correct answer to this.
The bottle roll.
Yes. The rolling champagne bottle at the Silver Slipper, the sheer, suffocating tension of that sequence, the cinematography tracking the heavy green glass.
It was brilliant framing.
Kitty, terrified, crying silently while she rolls it down the bar. The crisp sound of the glass rolling over the lacquered wood, echoing in the quiet club. The inevitable shatter. The pathetic click of the empty gun. The deafening blast of the shotgun.
It was sensory overload.
It was an absolute masterpiece of suspense building.
It was Levinson clearly heavily channeling early Quentin Tarantino and executing it perfectly. The pacing of that specific scene, the manipulation of ambient sound, and the spatial awareness of where every character was standing in that room was flawless directing.
Which brings us to the final judgment, the emotional damage report. We have to objectively rate the emotional devastation of this finale out of 10.
The rating is an easy 100 out of 10. The psychological toll this finale enacted on the viewership is mathematically incalculable.
100 out of 10. The images that are going to live rent-free in our heads forever. Rue's final, desperate gasp for air on the couch, violently intercut with the peaceful image of her mom reading the Bible.
The juxtaposition was brutal.
It was so incredibly haunting. And the specific look on Ali's face when he was writing Rue's name in his memorial notebook, the realization hitting his features that he failed to protect her.
A permanent scar on his character.
And honestly, babes, the sudden, crushing realization that we will literally never get a season 4 to fix Jules' storyline. She is just permanently stuck, painting in that penthouse forever in our minds. The emotional damage is permanent. There is no healing from this.
We are forever altered by the narrative choices made by the showrunners here today. We will carry this trauma into other shows.
We truly are. Babes, you, the heart of the Snark Squad, thank you so much for sitting on this couch drinking with us and surviving this absolutely wild television era together. We love you so much.
You survived.
But the conversation isn't over. We want you to hit the comments right now and tell us your truth. Who is your ultimate favorite character after all of this? Which storyline hit you the hardest in the chest?
And what is the scientifically correct best nugget sauce?
And did your messy weekly horoscope feel a little too accurate today?
We require your data and your insights for our ongoing sociological analysis of this fan base. Please contribute.
Please remind yourselves to like, comment, subscribe, and share this conversation with your absolute messiest bestie so they can spiral with you. We want to hear from you.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you sitting at home with a lingering provocative thought, an analytical loose end that the finale purposely left dangling.
Oh no, what is it?
We just watched Bishop orchestrate the brilliant, bloodless downfall of Alamo. Bishop is now unequivocally running the entirety of the East Highland drug trade.
Right.
And Maddie, clutching her thick envelope of cash, walked out of that blood-soaked club right by his side, stepping into his car. Did Maddie just unwittingly become the new Laurie?
Oh my God.
By aligning with Bishop for survival and capital, are they doomed to repeat the exact same cyclical, generational violence, control, and exploitation that just destroyed their friends? Is East Highland just trapped in an infinite loop of predators and prey?
Oh my God, the cycle continues. I am spiraling all over again. Babes, think about that tonight. Stay messy, stay delusional, and we will see you on the Snark side.